Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you happen to see this. I do believe that it will be the right time. I am Erica Salee, and I'm super excited to be joining you on this evening for a conversation that I think is something that is very necessary, especially right now. So, tonight we're going to be talking about from chaos to clarity, and I'm going to be sharing three keys to finding. Your power in the storm. And so I am asking you to come in, to settle in with me for the next 20 minutes or so. And hopefully, you will get exactly what it is that you need again to move from chaos to gain the clarity, say gain and clarity together at the same time, so that you can find your power in this storm that we're in. And your storm is what you get to define. As we talk over the next few minutes, I want you to get very clear and very present, not just about what's going on right now, how you're feeling, what you're dealing with, but more importantly, how you can move through it so that you can be the best version of yourself. For those of you who are here for the first time, perhaps you've never been in a conversation with me, you know, or you should know that that is one of the things that is very, very important to me, and that is to help my clients and those that I'm connected to create the best versions of themselves, because it helps us to operate from a place of true synergy, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and it helps us to operate in our gifts. So we're going to jump right into it. One of the things that I realize is that I don't have to tell you that we are in a space right now where many of us are navigating through transition. Now, I have to say that if you are human and you have been living life for any period of time, you probably had your own things that you were navigating through, whether it was divorce or change in another relationship, whether it was a job shift, whether you were trying to figure out, okay, what do I really want to do next? Maybe you were navigating through family situations or professional situations, things in your business. Like there were things that you probably had on your radar that you were processing and dealing with before the current climate. I have said it multiple times and I will continue to say it because we are still navigating through a space that feels very uncomfortable. It is not feels, but it is chaotic. And in some cases, I don't know if anybody watching has seen the series. Now I'm losing track of the series where the characters are in the upside down. I've watched every season with my children, and now I can't think of the name of the series. So if somebody can think of the name, the upside down, it'll come to me because now I just found out it's on Broadway. But anyway, so we feel like that, like everything's topsy-turvy, nothing seems to be making sense. And so when we feel like that, it often seems like there is no way through it. But one of the things that I want to impress upon you, and this is something that I remind myself of constantly, and that is that the chaos might just be the fire that is needed to ignite or reignite something new. Perhaps it's something that you have been thinking about, processing. Maybe you've written it down. Maybe you've talked to people about this thing that you've been wanting to do. And this might be the time to kind of nudge you into discovering what that might look like. So we can think of this period of chaos as an opportunity to reinvent, to be empowered, to be renewed, to be restored, and to refocus and to move in either a new direction or to continue pursuing perhaps in a direction that we were already moving toward, depending on what you were managing before all of the stuff happening right now. So I'm going to share three ways to think about embracing your power in the midst of where we are right now. And what I want you to do is as I'm saying where we are right now, you can define that in the way that makes sense to you. You might say to yourself that as you're watching and as you're listening to my voice right now, the thing that you are trying to manage is, and you can fill in the blank, right? Maybe you are impacted by the mass job losses. Maybe you are impacted by divorce or separation or some other relationship change. Maybe you are affected by a health challenge, or maybe there's some other relationship challenge, family, children, peers at work, or whatever the case may be. You get to fill in your thing that feels chaotic, that feels uncertain, that feels confusing, that feels frustrating. You get to define it. I can say to you that as I'm watching the things happening around, as I'm seeing how it's impacting my family, my friends, my clients, how I am impacted, those are the things that I can fill in for my own blanks. And I can also say, and on top of that, I had these other things going on, trying to navigate, and all of it swirling together kind of feels like, ooh, it's a lot for many of us. And so if you're not directly connected or affected by what is deemed as chaotic right now, perhaps you know someone who is, and these 3 points can be beneficial to someone else, if not you directly. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing to think about is that chaos does not cancel your calling. Chaos does not cancel your particular purpose. And sometimes we confuse disruption, whatever that is. It's something that has happened abruptly. There is a quick change, or there's a transition, or there's another piece of news, or another this, another that. Sometimes we look at um, the feeling or the experience of disruption as a disqualification. What do I mean by that? If there's something that has happened that has thrown us off track, maybe we were on a path, we were on a trajectory, we were in a particular job, we were doing a particular thing, and something happens to change that. Sometimes we relate that change, that disruption, as disqualification, meaning, oh gosh, this happened, therefore I am not valued, I am not worthy, I am not important, or I don't matter. Now, there are things and situations and people as part of the disruption whose message is specifically that, right? To perhaps get us to think that, oh gosh, you don't matter, you don't belong, you're not smart enough, you're not important enough. When the reality of it is, the two could not be further from the truth. So just because something has happened to stir up a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of chaos, a whole lot of frustration, a whole lot of uncertainty, it does not mean that you no longer have a purpose, or that your purpose has changed, even if you haven't yet discovered what that purpose is. That's probably something to put on the radar, because you're probably like, ooh, conversation for another day. But let me expand on it a little further. So I have shared this story multiple times in other spaces. Perhaps I've shared it here on the various platforms where this is streaming right now. But as I was preparing for this conversation tonight, it just came back front and center, like right there. So I was going to say a few years ago, actually it was a lot of years ago, 2010 was when I first inked my business on paper, right? When I first started thinking about planning for getting the launch event together, I had developed my business around a specific name, okay? I'm not even going to say the name, but suffice it to say that in the beginning, it was not True Synergy. And so I had been preparing for the launch event. I had invitations printed, all of the marketing materials to go out, do the launch, had pretty much been developed. Email blasts had been going out with the name that I had created for my business. And I had gone to meet with the person who was printing the invitations, had given the okay. And matter of fact, I had picked up the invitations with the name on it. Invitations were absolutely beautiful. And on my way home, I was driving down 83. For those of you who are familiar with the Maryland area, you know where 83 is. So I'm driving down 83 on my way home, and I get a phone call. And the short story is that the phone call was from an attorney who told me that I was on the fringe of trademark. I was on the border of trademark infringement because of the name that I selected, that I thought I did the research that I needed to do in order to claim the name. Well, I did not apparently do enough. And so I'm listening and I immediately started to cry. My heart was beating faster than I could probably even tell you. And I'm driving white knuckle, hands on the steering wheel, nervous because I'm like, what in the world? I don't understand. What did I do? How did I fall short? And when I get home in this very office that I'm in right now, it didn't look like this. I came in, shared with my husband at the time, and I just broke into this sob, bawling, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Invitations have been printed. I've been putting stuff out there. I've been classifying, calling this name. I have, what do you call it? Filed this name. And so I'm like probably about 45 days out from my launch, and I just did not know what to do. It was chaotic. Because number one, I had never gotten a phone call like that from an attorney. I had never felt like I was, on the verge of some legal battle that I wasn't sure how I would fight or if I could fight. There was no grounds for me to fight. So I'm going through all of this stuff in my head on how do I deal with this? And so in this very office, I'm sitting here. At the time, there was a desk on that side, and I'm sitting over on a chair that was on the other side of the desk. And my husband allows me to just sob, allows me to get my cry out because I didn't know what to do. And he let me stay in my feelings for a minute, let me get it out. And he simply said to me, okay, so now you have to go back to the drawing board. And I thought, I don't even know where to begin. So I got over myself, started, trying to piece together, what am I going to call my business? What resonates with me? What do I want this to be? What do I want this to feel like? What is it? Like all of these things that I thought I went through, did more extensive research, and I developed the name True Synergy. Okay. So I'm saying this because that was a chaotic moment for sure. I had to do a lot of undoing and redoing. I had to get invitations reprinted. I had to cancel my articles under the one name, reestablish them under a new name. There was money that had to be put out, all the things that I wasn't expecting, and I had to do it quickly because the launch was right around the corner. But in that chaos, it didn't cancel my calling. It didn't cancel the purpose for me establishing True Synergy in the first place. It didn't cancel the launch of the business and the mission around why I was doing this in the first place. But it did show me that I was able to get through the moment and keep moving toward what my purpose and my calling is. And even after that, some new things began to arise as a result. So remember that even though this moment in time feels like it is chaotic. Let me just stop saying that it feels like, because it is. Even though this moment is riddled with uncertainty, even though this moment that we're in is riddled with anger and frustration in some cases, confusion, and a whole lot of other emotions that we're trying to manage, these are the opportunities that we can look at and say, in spite of this, it doesn't cancel who I am. It doesn't cancel why I was created. It doesn't cancel what I have to offer. It doesn't cancel how I still get to show up and be visible using my voice or using my talent or using my gifts or whatever it is for you. And I want you to fill in those blanks so that you know, okay, this is a moment in time that doesn't feel so good, but I am still here and I still have something to offer, even if others are trying to cancel you out or make you feel like you are not valued or worthy. Okay. So chaos does not cancel who you are and what you bring to the table. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself this question, and that is, what is this chaos trying to show me? You can substitute the word chaos and you can say, what is this uncertainty? What is this frustration? What is this trying time? What is this moment? What is this trying to show me? And it's a question that you can write it down, you can speak it out loud, you can do both. And the answer may not come to you as soon as you get the question out. You might have to sit with it for a minute. You might have to think about it, pray about it, just rest in it. But it is a challenge to say, okay, if this is the moment that I'm in, what is it that I need to learn from it? What do I do with this? What is it trying to show me? Because it might just be a nudge that is letting you know that it's time to shift into something new, or it's time to expand on something that perhaps you've already been focusing on. Maybe it is giving new idea, new potential, new opportunity. But ask yourself the question. This is a reflective opportunity to say, okay, if this is where I am right now, what am I supposed to get from it? What do I learn from it? What do I take from it? And allow yourself to be open to the answer to that question. Okay. So here's the second part. The second part is that pause is a power move. Now, what do I mean when I say pause? Well, let's just think about it. Sometimes when we are in a space and we don't know the answer, when we're feeling unsure, when there's so much going on, it's confusing, and we're trying to figure out, even with the question that I just asked you to consider, like, what is this moment? What is the chaos? What is the uncertainty? What is it trying to teach me? What is it trying to show me? When you ask that question, sometimes in order to get the answer, it requires stillness. It requires a pause. It requires for us to sometimes be quiet, to be silent. And I'm going to say this with a caveat, and that is to do nothing. Now, I will say this, that given the reality of the world we're in right now, we have to give ourselves an opportunity to pause and to stop, to regroup, to rest, and to renew. And I've said this before, but I think it's important to restate it here. And that is, a lot of times that pause is what helps us to answer the question that I just asked you to think about in the first part. And that is, what is this trying to teach me? And sometimes the only way we can figure out the answer to that, or even get some inkling as to what the answer is if we stop to be still. Now, sometimes we might think that, oh God, if we slow down or if we stop, that means I'm quitting, I'm giving up, that I have no drive or no determination. And the reality of it is that when you pause, when you stop to rest, what you're really doing, what we are doing, is giving ourselves the opportunity to gain clarity, number one. It is also the opportunity to put our well being at the forefront. And let me speak specifically as it pertains to women, to us as women. You all, perhaps you've seen me before. I have a hat that says, of all the hats I wear, this one is for self care. What that is a reminder of is the fact that as women, we are wearing multiple hats every day, all day. We are trying to process. We are trying to think. We are trying to problem solve. We're taking kids here. We're taking care of spouse here. We're taking care of companion here. We're part of this organization. We've got to go to this meeting, we're doing all of these things. Maybe we're working a full-time job. Maybe we're running a business. Maybe we're doing a combination of the two, but we're doing multiple things. And oftentimes the stigma is for women that we have to not just do more, sometimes do more with less, but we have to keep doing more, and we have to keep on the grind, and we have to stay moving and always show up, because that is the expectation of women. Sometimes we don't have the luxury of pausing, right? That's what society says. And let me just be very honest, that as Black women, the stigma is that much more intense. I actually talk about this in my book. And I say, there is an expectation that as women, that we're always supposed to be moving, that we have to always be managing something. And the pot gets so big, right, that that pot may be overflowing, but we're still churning and we're still cooking. So pausing is a power move because it empowers us to be repowered. Let me see if I can say that again. I don't know if I can say it the same way that I said it the first time, but I'm going to try. Pausing is a power move. It's a power move because it empowers us to be repowered, right? When we sit still, it's almost like take this phone. If I put it down and I charge it and I don't touch it, I'm not picking it up and I'm not scrolling or checking email or responding to text or all the things. I'm not doing that while it's charging. Then when it's still and I'm not bothering it and I'm not interfering with it being repowered, guess what? The repowering can happen in a natural way. It can happen uninterrupted. And that means once it is powered and I pick it up and I begin to use it again, well, now it's fully charged and it can be utilized in the way that it was intended. Well, we're no different. So when we are still and we allow ourselves to check out from conversations, from the news cycle, from social media, from running here, there, and everywhere, when we allow ourselves to just stop and be still, and we are very intentional about the energy that we allow to come into our space and the energy that we exert outwardly, then we are repowering ourselves. And it gives us an opportunity to rest, to reflect, to think about community and what we need and what we need to be connected to, but we can be still enough to determine that so we're not going around trying to find all the things and exhausting ourselves as we're trying to figure those things out. So pausing is a power move. Don't get caught up into this false notion that I always have to be moving. I talk about this when I talk about self-care success strategies for busy women. And one of the myths that we often get caught up in is that, I can't keep still. I got to be doing something. I got to be moving. I got to be moving all the time. I have had multiple conversations with people, friends, family. I've had conversations with my clients, and to pause and to be still is not always easy if you feel like and if you have always practiced moving and on the go. But there is something powerful about being still. I will give you a quick example, and then we're going to move on to number 3, and we're going to close the conversation out. I literally just had a session with a client, and she had a lot of stuff going on, and I recognized that because as women, that's what we do. So coming into the coaching session, I just wanted us to be still for a moment. I didn't want to just jump into the session. I wanted to give her an opportunity to just breathe because she had just come from a place and she was giving herself some time in between. And I wanted to pause. And when we paused, we had a powerful session. So there is power in the pause, right? It is an opportunity, and it is a strategic move to allow us to be restored, to be renewed, to be replenished, and to be re-empowered. I don't know if that's a word, but it sounded good when I just said it. So here we go. So let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is that you already have the power to rewrite your story, to come out of the chaos, to move through the uncertainty, however you want to fill in that blank. You and I already have, we hold the power to rewrite our stories out of this chaos. And you might say, well, Erica, okay, I hear you saying that I have the power, but right now I'm feeling kind of powerless. I hear you saying that I have the power, but I'm being made to feel like I don't have the right to exercise my power, or how dare I utilize, my voice or my talent or my gift, or these things have been stripped away from me. I hear you saying that I already have it, but I don't feel like I do. And here's what I would say to that. I've said this before, and I think it's important to say it again, is that there is a strategy around making one feel like they have no power. Because the reality of it is, because you and I already have the power that we need to rewrite, then making us feel powerless is the strategy so that we can keep that thing that we already have on the inside of us hidden and unused because it is just that powerful. So if you're saying to yourself, okay, I hear you saying that, I don't feel it, I don't see it, I don't understand it, where is it? Because right now I just feel like, blah, like how am I going to get through this? So here's what I want you to think about. We are not, and you should not wait to be rescued. And I know we're in a place right now where it's like somebody throw me a life raft or something because I need it. Okay. But this is the time to think about how you can take back control of what you feel like you may have lost by taking small incremental action steps. I was thinking about this. So today is Thursday. I was thinking about this a couple days ago. And this was something that I said to myself. I was on my way to pick up something from the store. And one of the things that I said to myself was, given the goals that I have for myself, what is one thing that I can do today? This was my prayer that I was saying, as I was driving myself to the store. What is one thing that I can do today that will get me closer to the thing, right? The goal. So when you think about the fact that you already have the power to rewrite your story, the way that we do that is by taking incremental steps every single day. What that says is that there is something that I have to work with. There is something that I have to use. And even if I don't have all of the pieces, well, maybe one step to rewriting my story, or one action that I can take to utilize the power that I already have, is okay. Well, let me think about what do I have? Okay, I have experience. I have a talent here. I have this gift. I have this connection. Like thinking about the things that are already in our space that perhaps we have not tapped into. Well, maybe there's something new that you want to learn and you don't really know how to do it well. Is one way that I can tap into that power to rewrite my story through the midst of this chaos is, oh, well, maybe I can do research on it, or maybe I can look up more information. Oh, there's somebody that I know who knows how to do that thing. Maybe I can reach out and say, hey, would you like to sit down, have a conversation? I'd like to learn. These are all the things that when we really kind of move away from the emotion that's tied to the chaos and we say, okay, what is it that I'm supposed to learn in this moment? What is it that I'm supposed to do in this moment? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can think about those gifts that I'm utilizing or that I have that I want to tap into. Here's another example. Was talking with a friend recently, probably over the last couple of months, and she said, you know what? I decided that I was going to walk away from this 9 to 5 and focus on my business full time. She is a very artful and skilled baker. And so her focus is now on that craft. So when you think about the fact that you already hold the power to rewrite your story, that means that you and I have the power to rewrite your story. We're not looking for somebody else to rewrite it for us, or we're not looking for someone else to give us a handout in order for us to move forward to rewrite the story. Now, that doesn't mean that we might not need support or resources, but what it does mean is that we're starting with, okay, what do I have and how can I start with what I have and take those little small steps, utilizing my power to have the ability to do that, whether it's to call somebody, text somebody, research something, listen to a podcast, sign up for a free course, or sign up for some other course. Like, those are all of the things that remind us that we do, in fact, have power to utilize even in the midst of chaos. There's one other thing that I wanted to mention, and that is, even in the chaos, there is an opportunity to garner hope. And I know sometimes it's not easy to see that because there's so much just like this. It's like every time you turn around, there's something new, there's something else, there's something breaking, this, that, or the other. And by the way, you and I still have our stuff, right? But even in these moments, you and I can choose hope. We can choose to say, how can I re-engineer myself? How can I motivate and encourage myself? How can I use something that perhaps I've been sitting on, and now it's time for me to explore, well, what does that look like if I open it up even more fully? So this is the opportunity, right? When we think about moving from chaos to clarity, these are the three things that can help you and I to find the power in the storm. If you don't hear anything else out of this conversation, please understand that when you and I feel powerless, then it's very easy to feel like there is no hope. And I cannot stress it enough. There is strategy in making others feel like there is no hope. But at the end of the day, if you remember these three things, if you remember that chaos doesn't cancel your calling, that means that you still have something to offer. That means that there is someone or something who is waiting for that something that you have to offer, the gift that you have, or shall I say, gifts. Also remember that pause is a power move. Pausing, stopping to rest, stopping to focus on, self-care, stopping to focus on putting some guardrails around how you utilize your energy, what energy you let into your space. It is a power move because when you do that, it allows you to gain clarity so that you know how to move forward, and so that you can tap into the fact that you already hold it, dare I say, in the palm of your hands, the power that you need to rewrite your story. And so, with that being said, here's what I want you to think about. If you're saying to yourself, okay, I hear all of that. I hear you saying that I have the power to rewrite my story. I hear you saying that I need to rest. I hear you saying that everything that's happening right now doesn't really cancel out my calling. It doesn't stop me from walking in my purpose. I hear that. And you may have gotten some nuggets from tonight. I hope you did. I hope you had an opportunity to write some things down. If you didn't, you can go back and check out the replay. But if you're saying to yourself, okay, so how do I expand on that so that I can unpack it a little bit further? Well, I do want to introduce you to this as an option. And that is the From the Pages to Your Power book circle. Okay. Now, I have to tell you that this is not a book club. Okay. This is a very intentional space that I have designed for women who are ready to turn the page. It may sound like a cliche, but it is exactly that, because we have been sitting in this space of intensified chaos, intensified uncertainty, on top of all the other things that we may have been dealing with before the beginning of this year. And we're all looking for the opportunity to move forward, to move ahead, to literally turn the page from this space that feels confusing, that feels chaotic, to something that feels more promising. That's something that shows me that there is possibility for me to operate into a new space, into a better space. And so, if that is where you are right now, and you're feeling like, I'm looking for community, I'm looking for an opportunity to connect with other women so that I can turn the page, so that I can look forward, so that I can feel and be in a space that is promising and that I can build on the community with others around me. So how does the book circle work? So we're using my Amazon #1 bestseller, I'm Here Now What? Finding Joy After the Storm. Talk about having to turn the page, literally, having to discover what life looked like after divorce and never having lived on my own ever, 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 ever in my life until my 50s. That was a moment that I had to figure out how to turn the page into something new. How do I create, this new version of myself that I don't even really know what looks like? So you might say, well, Erica, okay, I hear you, but I've never gone through a divorce and I'm not even married. It doesn't matter because your transition moment could be very different from mine, but each of the chapters of the book are specifically designed with activities and themes that can relate to any transition. So the book circle might just be the thing that resonates with you. Now we start on June the 16th, Monday, June the 16th, 6-session book circle. So every week we will be using the chapters from the book as the themes for our conversation inside the circle. And so there are specific actions included in each of the weeks so that it is not just reading a book, but it is applying those themes to your specific transition and the thing that is nudging you to turn the page. Okay. So if you are interested in this experience, then you can go to the link that you see at the bottom of the screen and get all of the details and to register to secure your spot to join me in the circle. Here's what I want to say. This is intentionally created as a sacred space. And the intimacy in this space is very important. It is important because I think we need that, number one. And number two, it enhances the experience of going through the process of the circle and using the themes to be able to have the conversations that we need to be able to show up in a sacred space in our authenticity. Don't try to say it fast. And to know that it is a space where we can be vulnerable if we need to, right? As women, that's a space that we don't often find. And so it is limited to 10 women. Right. So you don't want to wait. Registration closes on June the 13th. So if anything that I've said in this conversation resonates with you, then you'll want to check out the bit.ly link at the bottom of the screen, Pages to Power, and you can get all of the information there and then secure your spot to join me as part of the circle. This is an opportunity for us to turn the page together. And a lot of times we feel like we're out there on our own, we're trying to do stuff on our own, and we get frustrated. But the reality of it is you and I don't have to do it on our own. And the book circle is intended to give you that support and community so that you are not alone as you begin to think about next. And as you think about turning the page into your next and new chapter. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing you all again real soon. If you happen to come back and see the replay, I do encourage you to drop a comment. Let me know if anything resonated with you in the conversation. If you feel inclined to share this, perhaps you have a family member or a friend who is trying to navigate this space that we're in right now, trying to figure out what's next. What do I do? How do I move forward? How do I navigate through this chaos? Because it's so much. Then please do share this out and let them know that they do not have to do it alone, that this conversation and the book circle are opportunities to come together and share community to walk into next together. So with that, I will say again, I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Until I do, please do take care of yourselves. And yes, I want you to be well.